Hey everyone, it's Skiesti. So I've been seeing some confusion about the Mercy changes to Resurrection, and rightfully so. I'll clarify quickly that these changes should be thought of as quality of life changes rather than like a buff. I held off on making this video for a bit until some of the bugs that were happening were ironed out with it, and now that they have, or for the most part they should be, it's about time. With the recent Lunar New Year 2021 event came a new patch with only Mercy patch notes. Really quickly, before we get into the changes, I'll just say that Mercy got a new skin, a new victory pose, and a new spray, so we're doing pretty good this patch. Alright, there's 3 different points to go over from the patch notes. The first one is Mercy can now attempt to resurrect teammates who die over environmental death pits. Many of us, including myself, thought for a moment that this meant that we could res allies that were inside the death pits. This was because they originally phrased it as being in death pits and not over death pits. So what does this change mean? It means 2 things. 1, heroes that die above death pits, for example Pharah or Echo, can now be rezzed. And 2, heroes that are registered to have died over a death pit, when their soul is still on the map, can be rezzed. The second change states that when resurrecting, the resurrect marker will now freeze in place for the duration of the resurrection. This means that once you start a res, the soul will stay where you started the res. This change helps with 2 things. 1, it makes falling soul reses much easier to perform, as there's no potential chance of losing the res from falling out of range. And 2, it makes resing souls that died on platforms much more consistent as, again, the soul will not go out of range from where you started the res. And the last change, holding the ability button for resurrect while it's on cooldown will now attempt the resurrect once the cooldown finishes. Across many, if not all heroes, when you hold the ability button when it's on cooldown, you'll automatically use the ability once it's off cooldown. Resurrection was, for some reason, an exception to this, as it only worked some of the time. With this change, it should be much more consistent. And I'll just really quickly touch on what the bug fixes were. So, originally, when this patch note went through, when you were trying to res someone mid-air, they were falling really quickly during the invulnerability phase of the resurrection, and they would just die again in the death pit. That shouldn't be a problem anymore, as it has been fixed, as well as when allies were dying over the environmental death pit, the resurrection markers weren't showing up properly, so you weren't even able to really res them either way. Both of those things are now fixed, and neither should be a problem anymore. That's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.